Alright gamers, you know what time it is. Today we're ranking every single strike mission in Guild Wars 2. We're going to be ranking from best to worst based on enjoyability, profitability, design of the strike and all that sort of thing. But to be honest, it's mostly going to be enjoyability. Like, that's the most important thing for me, and I think, profitability doesn't really vary that much with strike missions, and also profitability just kind of contributes to the enjoyability to, I think, as well. So, kind of considering everything here, but mostly the fun factor of the strike missions. So we've got them all here. We've even got the limited time strike missions. At the time of recording this, we're about to get our next expansion, Janthea Wilds, in a couple of months, and we've kind of got all of the big features revealed, what it's going to contain, and it looks like that it's not actually going to have any more strike missions. The new raid wing seems to be replacing strike missions for this expansion, and to be honest, I could foresee a future where if the new raid wing goes really well, perhaps we might continue just getting new raids instead of strikes going forwards. I don't know. I'm just guessing. It's just a theory, but it is possible that maybe we might not have any new strikes for the foreseeable future. So this should be a pretty solid full tier list for some good time to come. So let's get right into it. I reckon we'll start with we'll go kind of semi in order. So let's start with the Icebrood Saga strikes. I reckon these were the first strikes to be added to the game, and they're probably pretty universally considered to be the best strikes to get started with. If you're just getting into strikes, if you're a newer player, the Icebrood Saga strikes, especially the easy 3, these are very easy, very good introduction to strikes. So let's start with those. So the very first one is Shiver Peak Pass. This strike is so goddamn easy, it's not even funny these days. And honestly, I think the easy 3 especially are going to share a theme for me with the fact that they're kind of boring because they're so easy. It's literally like they're kind of just DPS columns. You can ignore literally every mechanic. You can probably even not even have a single healer and still ignore every mechanic. But their redeeming factor is they're actually kind of a good place to practice new builds. That's for that exact reason. So I'm actually not going to put them too low, but I really can't put them that high. I think C tier feels fine because it's on the lower end, but it's also like C is, that's technically a pass. I want to give it a pass. This one has also got like a little, that little jumping puzzle beforehand. Sometimes, depending on my mood, I can be like, fuck, I really can't be fucked doing this. But other times it's kind of fun to be like, sometimes I'll be like first one to complete the jumping puzzle gets or whatever. It's kind of fun to make a bit of a thing out of it. That's going into C tier, and then I think the other two that are part of the easy 3 are going to probably share the same sentiment. So we've got Freynear of Jormag. That is going to go in the same category. And then what's the other one? We got the Bears, the Voice and the Claw of Jormag, also known as the Bears. These are the easy 3. And yeah, I would pretty much consider them all very easy. Maybe the Bears might be slightly harder just because if you don't kill them near the same time, maybe you might start getting a couple of downed players. You know what? I'm actually promoting the Bears, and here's why. A lot of people, what they do with the Bears is they'll, get one of them low, then kill the other one, and then finish off the first one, because once one of them dies, the other one gets a big damage bonus. But I think it's actually pretty fun to have some fun with this mechanic. Sometimes what I do is, if I'm commanding the squad, I'll split the 2 subgroups into 2 teams, and we'll each try and kill one of the 2 bears, and we sort of have like a little friendly race, see who can kill it first. And that's actually really fun. If you haven't tried that yet, I definitely recommend giving that a go, because it really makes this strike a lot more interesting. So that's the only reason that one's going to get promoted above the other two, I think. Then we've got the two slightly harder Icebrood Saga ones. The Bone Skinner. This one is, depending on your group, it can be an absolute fiasco, or it can be a very quick and easy clear. I think I'm gonna put it in B tier because it's kind of fun to play a support on Bone Skinner. Like, there's a lot of things that you can do that will make it a lot easier, which is kind of fun to do. Like, obviously the most well-known one is the heal scourge, being able to teleport all the downs out of the puddles, pile them all up so that they can just get easily rezzed. Honestly, this strike would be so much harder for like pug groups if there was no such thing as heal scourge. Probably would force pug groups to like do the actual intended mechanics, to be honest. But there's a lot of other little things you can do, like pulling in the ads and like doing a projectile reflecting. So I find it kind of fun to do that kind of stuff when I'm playing like a support. As heal herald or put up the bubble or something like that, or as like a necro, you can like pull the ads in. So I think that is the only reason that makes it a little bit more interesting. As a DPS player, it's kind of just like, try and do as much DPS as you can without dying to the puddles. So it's just kind of like a slightly harder DPS golem. I think B tier suits that one pretty well. And then we've got also the other two Icebrood Saga strikes that are a little bit lesser known. So we've got Forging Steel and Cold War. These two, obviously, I don't think it's a very hot take to say these are kind of shit. Especially Cold War. You know what? Cold War, I think we might need we've got a new tier. We're calling it Stinky Winky. And Cold War is going in there. If you've ever played Cold War, I'm sure you know why. This is probably the most boring, least fun strike in the entire game. You just go into an area with your friends and just beat up trash mobs for way too long. It stinks. It's literally no way to speed it up. It's just a timer. I hate this strike mission. Get rid of it. Stinky Winky tier. Easily. Forging Steel. You know what? This would go into Stinky Winky tier. I hated doing it. However, I'm putting it in D tier. And the only reason why, and I know this might be a little bit controversial, and it hurts me to say this as well, but this strike is actually kind of interestingly designed. The map and the way that you sort of slowly make your way up through like these different zones and like protect the tank as you go, it's actually kind of an interesting concept, and the map is actually quite interesting and quite cool. It's just the fact that it's so slow. Oh my god, it stinks. And like I had to redo it for like an achievement. I think it was for the Seasons of the Dragons achievements or something. And I think like I messed it up or something, and I had to like go back and redo it again the whole way from the beginning. And it feels like it takes like half an hour or something, and it's so slow and boring. That's why it's in D tier. But man, if it wasn't for that terrible like slow playstyle, this would actually be kind of a pretty cool strike. Like the map and the final boss that comes out of that big hole, the lava robot thing. It's kind of cool. It's boring and it takes too long. It's terribly like balanced. But other than that, it's just like an interesting concept, and that's why it's not going all the way into Stinky Winky tier, but it is absolutely bottom of the barrel pretty much. It's in D tier. Fuck this strike. I will never be doing that again, which is kind of disappointing, but it is the case. Next up, let's get this freezy one out of the way. I feel like this is probably one that a lot of people actually have been thinking, like, what the fuck is that down there? What's the freezy strike? That's because this is a limited time strike. Freezy the Snowman, or Freezy Secret Lair. This is a strike mission that is only available during the Wintersday event around Christmas time. And it's pretty cool. I like it. It's a pretty standard strike mission. There's just like a couple of little kind of pre-events, a little bit of snowball dodging and stuff, and then there's like the small little final boss where you fight this guy. He has a couple of phases, and he splits up into these little ice golems you have to kill, and then like I think what is it? You have to thaw out his frozen heart. It's beautiful. It's a lovely message. It's fine. It's all right. I think if this was like a regular strike mission, this would probably go pretty low. To be honest, it really doesn't have. It's a very standard strike mission. But I think just the fact that it's like a limited time one, I'm very easily persuaded to enjoy this one because I love Wintersday. It's probably one of my favorite festivals in Guild Wars 2. Wintersday and the Halloween one, definitely the two best ones by far. So it's kind of like a bit nostalgic. It's got a cool vibe to it. It's limited time. I can only do it at a certain time, so it's it's a pretty easy way to make me enjoy it a little bit more, I think. So I think we'll go C tier, maybe even B tier. No, I can't do B tier. Yeah, we'll do C tier. But if this was a standard strike that was always available, I could see it going down to. It's not the most incredible thing ever. It's whatever. Freezy the Snowman. There you go. That's in C tier. All right, so there's all of that out of the way. We now are getting to my favorite category of strikes: the End of Dragon strikes. Maybe you might call Old Lions Court. It's kind of honorary End of Dragons. You might consider End of Dragons or like Season 1. This I believe, is the only one that is available if you are a free-to-play player, like you don't need any expansion or anything. These are my favorite strikes. End of Dragons. I love a lot of these strikes. They're really well designed. They're very polished, as far as strikes go. There's still obviously, some bugs, but not as much as like the Icebrood Saga strikes, I think. Let's start with Aetherblade Hideout. I love this strike. We're sort of not really considering the challenge modes, but maybe it can come a little bit into play. I do quite enjoy the challenge mode of this one as well. I feel like it's a really good level of difficulty for me. It's like, hard enough where you actually have to pay attention, but it's not crazy difficult. This one's going to go pretty high. It's A tier at lowest, I think. Is this an S tier? You know what? I am going to put this one in S tier. I fucking love Aetherblade Hideout. This is an S tier. We got our first S tier gamers. Aetherblade Hideout is fantastic. I love it. It's got a cool character. I like my Trin. It's got like throwback to Season 1 with the Scarlet. It's cool. Cool mechanics. Not too easy, not too hard. Good challenge mode. Good rewards. Good theme. I enjoy it. Aetherblade Hideout is S tier. What else we got? Let's do Zunlai Jade Junkyard, the Anchor Strike mission. This one is another one I quite enjoy. I think I would rather do Aetherblade Hideout. It's very close. I could foresee a world where XJJ could be S tier. I think we're going to put it in A tier just because I think I like Aetherblade Hideout a little bit more. This is a very solid strike. Lots of cool phases. Anka is a really cool character. Cool theme. Very condition heavy. So like when I'm playing healer, I enjoy sort of speccing into a bit more condition cleanse and feeling valuable. It's a fun one. It's again the challenge mode for this one is a very good difficulty. It's not too difficult. It's not too easy. I like the challenge mode. Very solid. I reckon A tier looks good there. Kinding Overlook. This one, It's fine. It does have probably. I feel like this is the one that I've experienced the most bugs with out of the Ender Dragon strikes. There's like a pretty annoying bug that actually makes it that actually is fully breaking the game. Like when the big mech does that weird thing where it starts shooting at you from up on the top of the thing. It means you actually have to restart and you can't fucking finish this strike. So that's a pretty big game breaking bug. It's all right. I think this one is going to go in B tier. Um, maybe at the top of B tier. It's cool. I think probably my least favorite of the End of Dragon strikes, but it's still pretty good. I enjoy it. Good stuff. I haven't done the challenge mode of this one. This one actually has a pretty difficult challenge mode. It's not quite the hardest in the game, but it's definitely one that um, it's a step above these two challenge modes, that's for sure. But that's, not a negative really. That's just a whatever that is for you, positive or negative. I think top of B tier is pretty good. It's a solid strike, but it's not as good as these two. These two are way more fun, I reckon. Next up we've got Harvest Temple, and I think this is actually I'm gonna say this is my favorite strike in the entire game. This is going to the top of S tier. Harvest Temple is my favorite strike in Guild Wars 2. It's got so many interesting phases. It never gets old or repetitive. It's like kind of a longer strike, but at the same time, one of the most interesting and has a lot of variety. So that really says a lot. It's so many different phases. It's like a good difficulty. Obviously, the challenge mode is insanely difficult. That's I haven't done the CM for this one. This is one of the hardest. Harvest Temple challenge mode is one of the hardest encounters in the game. It used to be the hardest. I think it's been overtaken by the Temple of Thebe challenge mode now, the legendary. But it's still very difficult. And just the normal mode, I think, is a very good difficulty. Like the normal mode of Harvest Temple is like difficult enough where you actually have to, pay attention, and sometimes it gets a little bit spicy, and I kind of like that. It makes it kind of more enjoyable. But yeah, it's not so hard that you can't pug it, which is kind of annoying. I also really enjoy my favorite healer in the game, which is Heal Herald. I feel like this is actually the best strike for Heal Herald. Heal Herald really shines in this strike because the bubble that you are taking on Heal Herald, the Centaur bubble, is so useful for that final orb phase where it starts spitting out the orbs. It's a portable projectile blocking dome, which is just so OP. It just completely trivializes that last that part there. And you can say that you can take the bubble on any like revenant spec, but if you're taking the bubble on like a damage revenant, then they're giving up a large chunk of their damage in order to take that. On Heal Herald, you already have the bubble by default, so you're not giving anything up. You just get to have that inherently. So that's why I think Heal Herald is really good for Harvest Temple. Also, check out this build guide I made on Heal Herald, my favorite healer in the game. But yeah, there you go. Harvest Temple, Heal Temple, Harvest Herald is the best strike in the game. Boom, get out of here. And now we've got sort of. Oh shit! I fucking forgot Whisper of Jormag. This is the other kind of a little bit harder Icebrood Saga strike. This one I'm actually gonna put in C tier. I'm not a huge fan of this one, but it's not so bad to go into D tier because there's a couple of little things that you can do that kind of spice it up a bit. There's like, I like how like a necromancer can take the flesh worm to body block a lot of the projectiles in the last phase. That's kind of fun, but it does have some. It is pretty buggy. It is a bit annoying sometimes to pug. Like the chains are a bit annoying. Yeah, it's like a. I don't think it's bad enough to go into D tier, but I think definitely the bottom of C tier. We've got Whisper of Jormag there. Sorry about that. I had a feeling I was forgetting something. All right. Old Lions Court. Either you could consider this like a core strike or maybe an honorary End of Dragon strike. It was added after the Ender Dragon strikes, but it's you don't have to have Ender Dragons in order to play it, and it's also technically part of the story of season one. So however you want to consider this one I think is a little bit divisive. This one, a lot of people seem to either really enjoy this one or really hate it, and I feel like I've kind of been in both categories myself. This one, for whatever reason, I find that pugging Old Lions Court is weirdly not a great time. For some reason, I find like the most toxic players when I'm trying to pug Old Lions Court. I feel like part of it is there's not like a extremely universally agreed upon pug strat for this strike. There's kind of like a few different ideas going around for the strategy for the different types of CC that you can do. Do you CC all of them? Do you CC none of them? That kind of thing. It's the CC strat that sort of trips people up, I think. And yeah, sometimes I just will. This is probably the most common one to fail when I'm just pugging it, and people will just fail mechanics, and then everyone will get salty, and everyone will leave. So that actually makes it a little bit annoying for me, and sometimes I will skip it. This is, if I'm doing all of the Ender Dragons strikes, like a full Ender Dragons clear to get the achievement for the weekly, this is definitely the one that I skip, that's for sure. But it's kind of cool. Like, it's got, some interesting mechanics. It's got some cool phases. It can get pretty crazy sometimes, which is pretty fun sometimes. A little bit buggy. This one's a hard one to place. But just the fact that this is the one that I skip, I can't place it very high. I think we're gonna go C tier. Yeah, maybe D tier. I think I'm gonna put it bottom of C tier because it's not like a terrible strike. I just don't really like to do it personally. I've had some bad experiences with it. Yeah, bottom of C tier. And now, finally, the last two. We're in the newest strikes now. We're in the Secrets of the Obscure territory. We've got Cosmic Observatory and Temple of Phoebe. I will say I've never done the Temple of Phoebe challenge mode or Legendary challenge mode, and I've heard a lot of good things about them by like the top of the line players, like the really good players. The Sweats really enjoy the Legendary challenge mode of this one, but I've never done it. I might be interested in trying it at some point, but we're just kind of going off the normal mode for Temple of Phoebe. Just put that out there. Let's start with Cosmic Observatory. This one is okay. I think a lot of people were kind of disappointed with this one, but I actually don't mind it. Yes, it's very easy, but it's still fine. Like, it's okay. If you're not a fan of the super easies, this is probably not one that you quite enjoy. The challenge mode of this one, I feel like, is actually pretty good. It was given a bit of shit on release that it was still too easy, the challenge mode, but I actually think it's pretty good. Like, if you're pugging it, it's a pretty good difficulty for a pug challenge mode. If you're, doing it with like your static and your pretty good group of players, it's definitely going to be trivially easy for you. But if you're pugging this challenge mode, it is absolutely possible that it fails. It's actually got a non-trivial DPS check, and if people are not paying attention and don't respect mechanics, it can actually get a bit spicy. I think this is a actually not too bad difficulty, the challenge mode for pugging. And I think I'm going to go ahead and put that in B tier. It's pretty good. I don't mind Cosmic Observatory. Not my favorite strike, not my least favorite. It's just kind of like, yeah, it's time. It's the daily. Let's go do CO. I do. I usually I will try and do the challenge mode every week for the rewards, because yeah, it's not too difficult, and it just kind of makes it like a little bit more interesting. You have to actually pay attention because the normal mode is pretty easy. I think the challenge mode is a decent difficulty. I think I like it better than Bear's Bone Skinner. You know what? It's kind of comparable to KO, which is funny because it's got a very similar. It's got KO and CO. I feel like it's pretty comparable to KO. Would I rather do Cosmic Observatory? No, I think Kinding Overlook just barely pulls ahead of Cosmic Observatory. That looks good there. And then finally, to finish it off, Temple of Thebe Strike Mission. I'm not a huge fan of the theme of this one. It's like a very gross, dark arena, which, I'm sure some people are a fan of. For me, it's a bit gross. I don't enjoy looking at it. But it's a pretty fun strike. There's a bit of, there's a bit of strategy you can use. Temple of Thebe. I like how there's sort of a pug strategy that has happened where you sort of just always go for the same split, the same clone in the split phase. That just makes it a bit easier. This one, it's very easy as well. It's really the normal mode, at least. It's very unlikely that this one's going to fail. It's fine. I think maybe C tier. No, I think B tier. I think I would rather do this one than all of these. You know what? Freezy's going to the top of C tier, by the way. I like Freezy. Temple of Thebe, Bone Skinner. Yeah, I feel like it's pretty comparable to Bone Skinner. I think I would rather do Temple of Thebe to that one. But yeah, Bears, I think barely pulls ahead. That looks good. That looks pretty good. There we go. Let me just take one final scan over this. We got Harvest Temple, Aether Blade. We got XJJ and A. We got Kinding Overlook. Yeah, yep. We got Shiver Peak, Frania, Whisper. Yeah, Forging Steel, Cold War. Yeah, get that fucking out of there, dude. Yeah, this is it. I'm calling it now. This is the finalized and gospel ultimate tier list for every strike mission in Guild Wars 2. So there you go. What do you reckon? Let me know how wrong I am in the comments, or let me know if you agree. What do you reckon about Freezy? Probably the least known strike mission in the game. Let me know how much you love Cold War because you're a crazy lunatic, or how much you hate Harvest Temple. Alright, thanks for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. I'm working on a full review of Secrets of the Obscure as an expansion, so that should be not too much longer now, so keep an eye out for that one. And I'll see you in the next flippin' video. Get the hell out of here.